Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Good evening and a very, very, very warm welcome to you on an unusual night of the week to be hosting and bringing to you the Football Out West show. My name is TONY POVOVIC and I'm one of the 3 wise monkeys that will be bringing this show to you tonight. And it's time to start bringing the boys on to one by one. And firstly, a big, very warm welcome to Craig Filer, who joins me here on a very, very special Monday night encore edition, whatever you want to call it, extra time of the Football Out West. Craig, how are you?
Good evening, Tons. Good evening, Steve. Good evening, listeners. Hope everybody's well. Yes, it seems a bit strange actually for me on a Monday evening to be. I'm either football training. Well, that was quite some time ago. Or I'm sat on the settee watching the Voice, mate. So seems a bit weird tonight, but looking forward to it.
Well, after last night's absolutely epic show where we had the CEO of Football Victoria, KIMON TALIADOROS on, the ratings numbers went through the roof. People were getting involved in the comments section, so that was great to see. And the fallout from that has been absolutely brilliant. So we will be having a little bit of a discussion about that, Craig, a little later on. And obviously, what's on tonight? I think most people know, but anyway, tell them about what we've got planned for tonight.
Yeah, it looks like everybody knows, Tonch, but we haven't got one person in the comments box yet, which is a bit surprising. But yeah, look, we've got Melbourne Victory head coach Tony Popovich joining us in about 20 minutes' time to chat everything Melbourne Victory, how their squad's shaping up, what supporters can expect, and then after that we're going to jump into some discussions based on last night's epic interview with CEO of Football Victoria, KIMON TALIADOROS, who came on and gave us a bit of an insight into the decisions of cancelling the league. So yeah, a really good show coming up.
Peter Tanevsky, you have saved our lives because now, and Maxi Santich, now the comments are starting to come through. And for a minute, these days when everyone's at home and the bandwidth is always being tested, you start to wonder what more technical issues are we going to have. But now they're all coming thick and fast, as is the third member of our illustrious panel, Steve Curtin. Well, welcome, Steve. How are you? And it's normally on a Monday night, me and you are bringing the Geelong Region Soccer Show, but not so tonight. It's an encore edition or matinee edition. What would you call it of the Football Out West?
Yeah, I'd go encore actually.
Cool.
That sounds all right. Yeah, sorry, I've just gone a bit cold here. Yeah, no, looking forward to it tonight. And I know Santino's back on Facebook again. His 24-hour ban is over, so
he's back out of jail.
We'll see him in the comments. Looking forward to seeing his input, especially with his favourite club getting featured tonight with Popper. Not many interviews with Popovich since he's taken over the reins at Victory too. So pretty exciting for all the Victory fans tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoy. I think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, now we are a little bit of starting to get some exclusive interviews happening with some very important figures around the football world. We've had Craig over the last 3 weeks. We've had John Aloisi from Western United. We had Patrick Kuiznorbo from Melbourne City. Do we or do we not announce, shall we leave the people waiting, who our big guest is next Sunday? I'll leave that up to you, mate. Big one.
I'm easy either way, guys. It's locked in, so it's up to you. What do we do, Steve? Do we keep the listeners hanging in suspenders, or do we tell them now?
I'll
In
tell you
suspenders.
what, Steve. I'll answer.
In suspense as well.
I'll cut you off, Steve. I'll tell you what. Maybe after the news desk, we can make the announcement. But speaking of the news desk, Steve, over to you, mate. Huge news happening all around the football world.
All right. Well, we'll start with that announcement that came through this morning. The Victoria is going to host the 2023 National Futsal Championship. So a bit of excitement there. That championship that began in 1980 and a big competition, close to 1,000 participants from 100 teams each year from around Australia, and previously the Solomon Islands and New Zealand having had participated. We're going to see a new facility built at Bundoora, we believe, and in the meantime, Gold Coast will be hosting the 2022, which will be coming up pretty soon because they're hosting it in January. So I'm pretty glad that we got 2023. A bit more surety about that, I feel. So good news there. And you guys have had Anthony Grimmer on the show before from Football Victoria, who heads up the futsal component these days, talking about this and a great sport that it is. And who knows, maybe we'll see A-League clubs have their own futsal divisions in the future, like some of the European counterparts. And it could become, hopefully, it could become an Olympic sport before too long as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know that
it's got to be better than BMX, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah. Maybe BMX with the soccer ball.
More wall climbing.
Oh, goodness me. But yeah, there has been talk about F League, I think it is now. I don't know if that's sort of a state-based concept, or is that supposed to be a national one? But look, Queensland and New South Wales have got very, very what's the word? Oh, they're quite well established in their futsal. And speaking more from a state federation, particularly Queensland, more from a strategic kind of a viewpoint. But it's good to see Football Victoria has embraced that. And look, there are I think 3 or 4 different futsal bodies down here in Victoria, and hopefully this will sort of also start to maybe get some of these bodies working together and, having a united league or an elite league happening in Victoria would be good. But I've got a soft spot for futsal. I think it's a brilliant sport. So, yeah, that's great news. Steve, what else happening?
All right, we'll move on to some of the scores that have happened overnight in the European qualifying section for the 2022 World Cup. And we'll start with the first match, which kicked off at 11 o'clock last night. And there would have been someone in Werribee who's on the show tonight would have been tuning into this one, as Wales had to come from behind in Kazan to beat Belarus 3-2. There was a draw between Iceland and North Macedonia. Albania got the win over Hungary, so a good result there for Albania. England with an easy 4-0 win. Bulgaria's 10 men got a win against Lithuania. Spain had no problems against Georgia, as did Germany over Armenia. It finished 0-0 in the big one between Switzerland and Italy. Poland had a bit of a rout against San Marino, while Belgium got the business done against Czech Republic, as did Romania over Liechtenstein, while Kosovo and Greece finished 1-1. So an exciting round of matches there. It's hard to keep up with so many going on at the moment. And there's the standings there, as you can see on the screen. Serbia leading Group A, Spain in Group B, Italy in Group C. Looking the goods with Switzerland in second in that group. Moving on to Group D, France ahead of Finland in that one. In Group E, Belgium is looking good ahead of the Czech Republic and Wales. While in Group F, it's Denmark leading Israel, who've surprised a few. Scotland in third there. Group G, Turkey above Netherlands just for the moment there. And Russia leading Croatia, Slovenia and Slovakia in Group H. And of course in Group I, England leading Poland and Albania, while in Group J, Germany has now leapfrogged Armenia, who had previously led that group leading into that match. Romania sits in third. So there's some more games to come. Match day 6 in Europe will kick off on Wednesday. So another full bill of matches to fit in before they go back to their clubs, these players. So a very busy schedule. And there it is on the screen there. So that'll get underway with the first one kicking off at 2 a.m. Azerbaijan and Portugal, and a whole host of fixtures at 4:45 a.m. If you feel like an early rise on Wednesday morning, there's a whole range of fixtures to choose from there. Will you guys be hopping up to watch maybe Croatia, Slovenia, perhaps there, Tonch?
Yeah, I definitely will. We've started a little bit of a what's the word? Best way to describe it? A tradition. My daughter and I, we get up early. My son, he'd sleep, till 10 o'clock if he could each morning. So no chance of getting him up. But yeah, no, we quite enjoy it. Although the other one, when I pulled an all-nighter, oh goodness me, by the start of the second half, the eyelids are starting to get just that little bit heavy. And yes, but nonetheless, looking forward.
Was that because you were tired or watching Croatia?
Actually, it wasn't the most exciting game in the end, but no, it was more of a case of I was tired because I'd pulled an all-nighter. But Craig, you'll be up early Thursday morning. Look at that, Wales versus Estonia, 4:45 a.m. Tips?
No, not a chance.
Not a chance. Where's
not
your
a
loyalty,
chance,
son?
Just get up for the mini match.
I'll watch the 3 minutes. I'll watch the 3 minutes later on.
3-minute version. There you go.
Yeah.
The patron himself.
Yeah, no, definitely won't be getting up. I did watch the highlights of the Wales-Belarus game this afternoon, and to say it was poor was an understatement. Gareth Bale scoring a hat-trick, scoring the winning goal in the 3rd minute of extra time at the end of 90 minutes. But yeah, look, there's been some good games actually. England did really well, winning 4-0 against Armenia. Look, it's lots of football. Just a thought on the Euros, guys. What's your thoughts? Do you think? And I know they've had 2 weeks off to play the Euros. Would it be a good idea to have a month off and play as many games as you can within a month, and because you've got the teams together and you've got them, have them playing, and then maybe have that winter break where there's a month off football altogether and they're all internationals? What's your thoughts?
If I can just jump in there, if I can jump in there, I'd say for Europe, it's probably a bit of a 50-50. It could be quite good, but definitely for Asia, we're breaking for these dates in, September, October, and November. And the traveling distance required for our players is insane to be thinking that you've got to do that. Imagine flying that far once a month on top of everything else to play 2 games in each window. I think Craig makes an excellent point, certainly as far as that goes, and also with the South Americans, and we'll have more on that in a moment too. What do you think, Tonch?
Look, put it this way, Craig. You don't watch the national team, the Wales national team.
I do.
You watch every. Oh, you don't watch.
I do watch. I'm just not getting up at 4:45 to watch them against.
Fair enough.
Watch them against some pub team.
Hear me out. But when it's the EPL, you watch every game from Friday night all the way. Could you handle a month without the EPL?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I think honestly, I just think it would be. I think it would just. It would help. It would help clubs in the EPL as well, Tonch, because you're not having them coming away. They're away for a month. All they're concerned about is I'm going to be playing for the national team for that month. Then we come back and it's forgotten, and then we're straight back into EPL rather than breaking for 3 or 4 weeks and then having them go again. So
I don't know personally. Yeah, just the week off, even the week off of having, league football is eating me, It's kind of, I suppose maybe because we haven't had the pleasure of it, with over the last 18 months and what you're not. Personally, I think the current format is okay. But then again, remember in Europe in particular, a lot of those big clubs, they dictate and they make it really hard for a lot of internationals. Socceroos in the past have had all sorts of problems trying to get, time off. So if they were to get a month off, I reckon
there wouldn't be any football time.
Bananas.
But there wouldn't be any football. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But will the clubs allow them to go for a month and then, come back? Who knows if they're in the right? I don't know.
Who knows?
We got bigger especially for fringe players.
We got bigger problems at home. We got bigger problems at home here, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But interesting point. And football is a game of opinions. I don't know. Is it 2 against 1? I lose again. Steve, back to you.
And just for the listeners, that is your chair that's squeaking. It's not your bones, is it, Tonch?
What's that? Not my bones.
Just for the loan. It is your chair that's squeaking and not your bones.
It is my chair. Can you hear it?
There it goes. Yeah. There's a mouse in there as well, I think.
Yeah, don't talk to me about pests around the house. I've just come out of a bloody bee issue. We've just been fixed earlier this afternoon. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about football. Steve, over to you.
Well, it's good that we bring our program onto screen through B Live as well, Tonchy, given it's coming from your place at the moment.
Hey, I'm here all week.
There we go. There's a good dad joke for all your Father's Day celebrants yesterday. Now, let's look at South America, the CONMEBOL section. There was a few games that took place today, and there was a win for Uruguay and a win for Peru, while Colombia and Paraguay shared the points in Asunción, while in Quito it was Ecuador and Chile having a 0-0. But the big talking point that everyone saw today was the Brazil-Argentina match was called off after about 10 minutes because Brazilian health authorities said that 4 Argentinian players had breached their regulations because they'd flown in from the UK to play the game. Why they realised this in the 10th or the 9th minute of the game, I don't know. And as far as Brazilian health regulations go, they're probably about the most lax in the world. So it's quite strange that this happened. If it was maybe trying to stitch up Argentina, I don't know. But that was quite unexpected there. So anyway, those two teams still leading the qualifying standings, even now that they have a game in hand and looking good for qualification. So comedy capers there in Brazil.
It wouldn't be South America without something spectacular going on with it.
It's a long way to go to not play the game, isn't it? So there you go. There's the standings there. Brazil in first with Argentina second. Ecuador doing quite well in third. Uruguay in fourth. And Colombia in the fifth position there. Paraguay, Peru and Chile doing their best to try and get into those top 5 spots that can get them to Qatar 2022.
And moving on to CONCACAF, the North American League.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, say that again, mate. That's worse than my pronunciations. What was it?
CONCACAF.
Oh gosh. Okay, well let's look. Yeah,
pronounce it properly. Yeah.
Let's look at the CONCACAF section. There was a few matches played there today, and there was a 3-0 win for Panama away at Jamaica. Mexico got a 1-0 win over Costa Rica. El Salvador and Honduras 0-0. While the USA side was held by the Canadians. So maybe a result that they might rue there, the States, perhaps the Nissan Stadium. Moving into the table at the moment as it stands, Mexico leading the way ahead of Panama. Canada in third, so who knows? Long time since we've seen them at a men's World Cup, if at all that I can remember. Honduras in fourth and USA sitting in fifth, with 2 draws from their 2 games, everyone having played 2 games there. A whole lot of games to take place in the African Confederation tonight, and a bit of drama there too with Morocco heading to Guinea, and there was a coup taking place, but we've been told that the Moroccan players are safe from any hostilities there, but always a bit of drama when these qualifiers happen, and this time is no exception. Perhaps next show we'll have a look at the standings from Africa and Asia, and we'll have played 2 games each in Asia by then after we'll have played Vietnam.
There you go. Lots of news happening, and also with I think there was overnight, there was some club football happening, was there not, Steve?
Yeah, a bit of club football in the UK. Women's Super League, Arsenal in a thriller 3-2 over Chelsea. We saw Kerr and Catley both had to be content with starting on the bench. They both made appearances off the bench, while in the other result, Mackenzie Arnold played a full game in goal for West Ham, and they finished with 10 players and were defeated 2-0 at Brighton and Hove Albion. So there's a bit of club football for you there if you're missing out. And a bit of news last week as well that I forgot to put in our brief. Western United signed Swiss central defender Leo Lacroix from the Swiss top-tier side FC Sion on a 1-year deal. He's 29 years old, 6'6", so he's a big unit, as you would say, Craig. And he's got some experience in the Champions League, and he's got 1 cap for the Swiss national team. So looking forward to seeing how he goes when he gets here and gets underway in the A-League for Western United.
And last but not least, it's the Socceroos in action tomorrow night against Vietnam.
Yeah, it's going to be on Channel 10 on free-to-air. Free-to-air commercial TV for our Socceroos. So it should be a big audience. I think they're going to air from 9:30 for the pre-match kickoff at 10. Simon Hill on the call. Very exciting. We had Simon on our segment on Bay FM on Saturday too, so it was good of him to come on Kevin's show on Saturday on the Sideline View. It was great to hear his thoughts on the game, and he was a little bit tired having had that very early start for that match before the recording, but it was good to hear from Simon and his thoughts, and good to have him back calling, and I think everyone in Australia is pretty much on the same page with that.
Absolutely. Great to have it also at a godly hour, 9:30 p.m. tomorrow night. And it's good to see that the preview which is something Foxtel really failed towards the end of its tenure. Lots happening, obviously. Thanks for that, Steve. And any other news? What's this Western United recruit like, Craig? Have you heard anything about him?
No, I've not. No, I've no idea who he is, where he's come from, so to speak. But he certainly, as you said, Steve, he's a big unit. So 6'6".
Yeah. Well, that's right. And when we spoke to John a couple of weeks ago, he talked about, we tried to get him to delve into what sort of formation he might play, how Rudan was sort of famous for that three at the back system. And Aloisi was lacking central defenders. Well, there's one more, so that might give him more options if he wants to play in that system to suit the players that he's got in the rest of the field.
Yeah, no. Guys, we're going to have a very, very short break. Before we do, a big shout out to our major sponsor, George Cross Football Club, Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club, and its president, Mark Sultana, rang in as a special guest last night prior to our big interview with KIMON Taliadoros. So big shout out to George Cross Football Club and everyone out there at the Georgie's on Vista Bistro. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be back in action. Also to Melbourne Victory and Giacomo Carulli. Already they are getting ready for next season, starting to plan, and also they are going to be the kit providers for our club that is featured tonight, Melbourne Victory. So a big shout out to Giacomo and everyone at Macron. Gents, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we return, we're going to have the big exclusive interview. It's a pre-record with Tony Popovich. And also we will be having afterwards, we're going to have a big discussion about last night, about the interview with Kimon Taliadoros and all the fallout from that. And Craig, I do believe we'll also be having the talkback lines open. Is that right?
Yeah, if anybody wants to come on and give us their thoughts on last night, maybe John from Brimbank can come on and I can try and get it. I could try and get him on here for the first time in about 5 attempts that he's tried. So, look, if anybody's got any thoughts on that and want to bring it up tonight, we'll open the phone lines after the interview with John.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't go away. Yeah, don't go away, folks. After sit back, we're going to have a couple of words from our sponsors. Before we do that, actually, I do want to have a shout out to someone that's on the on our comments feed. So obviously, someone who is tuning in, one of our colleagues from Soccer Scene, Taz Ioannidis, who had an early Father's Day present yesterday, becoming a father to baby Tia. So Taz, who's heavily involved in the soccer industry through his website, Soccer Scene. Big shout out to you and congratulations on becoming a dad, I think again. And that's great news. And also he does a lot of great work out at Soccer Scene. There's an interview with John Didlitzer, the football director of Melbourne Victory on there. But folks, don't go away.
Does a great job, Taz. If nobody's registered for the Soccer Scene or liked his page, do like it because there's some fantastic comments and interviews that he has. So
yeah, a lot of industry reports and industry articles as well. So it's good to see. Gents, don't go away. Folks, don't go away. We've got a great jam-packed interview coming up right after this short break.
Sport requires effort. Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear, when Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, it was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse and an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations, even referees. Ranked third most prominent football brand by the UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide, including Australia, where we are currently proud partners of Perth Glory, Macarthur FC, Port Adelaide and Parramatta Eels, and more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us on 1800 Macron.
Okay, folks, back here at the Football Out West show. It is episode 71. For a moment when there's not much going on in the world of football, there is a hell of a lot. And our next guest, well, he has been appointed to one of the hottest seats, or the hottest coaching seats in Australian football. And we are talking about our next guest, the newly appointed coach of the Melbourne Victory side, Tony Popovic. And Tony joins us online. How are you, Tony? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. We really appreciate you taking your time. And I guess after having Patrick Kisnorbo last week from Melbourne City and then John Aloisi the week prior to that, it's now the turn of the Melbourne Victory to find out what is going on in the blue part of the town. So, mate, let's first of all start off with you personally, your coaching career thus far. You've had stints as an assistant at Sydney FC and then Crystal Palace, where you also played. And then you had a lot of glory out at Western Sydney Wanderers before going to Perth Glory. And then there was a little bit of a stint in Europe, in Turkey and in Greece. And now you're at Victory. Mate, what have you learned as a coach along the way? What are some of the points that you've kind of adopted in your coaching philosophy?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for having me on. I think the coaching is a never-ending learning process, and I think with every experience that you have, you're constantly learning, evolving, gaining experience. And I think for me personally, whether there's a win or a loss, whether you're learning from the players each day or the staff, I think there's always something that you can take out of a situation. And I couldn't really pinpoint one thing that really set anything apart. All I would say is that these different experiences that I've had, I think helps you become a better rounded, maybe a manager and coach on the field with all the different people and different situations that you work with. You just gain that experience to deal with the different circumstances that I've been through.
And Tony, just to expand on that as well, can you talk a little bit about some of the most influential coaches that you've played under back in your playing days that have shaped who you are as a coach now?
I think you get a little bit from every coach. I was playing in Europe, playing for the national team. I was fortunate to have many different coaches, and I've always had an interest in this part of the game, even as a young player in Japan with the late Eddie Thompson. I remember writing down some of the drills we were doing back then when I was in my 20s. And I always had a keen interest for why and how things are done on the football field. And I think throughout my whole journey, I've always had influences along the way in terms of coaches. I think at the early part, as I started playing, I'd say my father was my biggest influence, and probably to this day still is an influence in terms of my work and what I do and what I love doing. And then along the way, there are always, coaches that bring out different things. And from the biggest characters I've had Trevor Francis as a coach, Ian Dowie at Crystal Palace, Gus Hiddink in the national team, all different. And at each stage, they would bring something different to the table. Big motivators or tactically very good. I've always felt that there's something to be learned off everyone. And, my journey really started, my belief was always from day one of having a team that could always challenge and win. And, I've always believed that can be possible. I'm always the ultimate optimist. And, and along the way, I've been fortunate in coaching to win titles. But I also feel along the way, you're constantly learning and evolving from all the great people and coaches and players that I've been associated with.
Tony, on the screen, we're actually going to see now a little bit of footage from the Victory training that's happened in the last few weeks. Your appointment at Victory, we said it's the hottest coaching seat at the moment in Australia, because effectively the whole place effectively, or the whole squad, needs an entire overhaul. What are your first impressions of the setup down at Victory and the players and the squad that you've got?
In terms of the setup, it's a wonderful setup here. They're very good, very ambitious people, from the chairman and the board, and all the way through the club managing director. We've got Caroline there. We've got John DeLisa as our football director. And if you work all the way through, there's some good people in line to try and bring Melbourne Victory to where it's accustomed to being, where it hasn't been for a little while, and that's winning and challenging for titles. And in terms of the players, I've been very happy with how they've come into pre-season. We've got a lot of new faces, but even the existing faces that have been here in the past, they've come with a wonderful attitude. They know what it's like to win, because a lot of these players have won things in the past, and they've also gone through some adversity, as everyone does, and they've gone through that for a couple of years, and their determination has been clear, and they've all been a pleasure to coach so far.
That's brilliant. And tell us about your backroom staff, because that's they're new to the club as well. Obviously, Fabrizio Camerata coming in. Tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, he's a former player that's had a distinguished career himself as a striker, playing the Serie A and Serie B in Italy. He's always, he's been a coach and an assistant coach to many big name managers in Europe. And we've just been in contact over time. And, you gain an interest in someone's career path. We've always said maybe one day we'll work together, and this opportunity came. And I think he brings a lot of knowledge, a lot of European experience. He's a former striker, and I believe he can really hone in on the skills of our attackers in the front third, and give them something that they probably don't see or hear week in, week out, in terms of someone that's had the experience he has in Europe at the highest level. Yeah. And I think he brings that something different to the table. And then I've got Luciano Trani, who's well regarded as a coach in Australia, and had a lot of experience in the A-League. So it's great to have someone with the know-how of the day-to-day operational sense of the A-League. And then I've also brought in some people that I've worked with before, in terms of Scott Smith in the conditioning, Michael Mantikos in terms of the analysis, and there's some also existing staff that have remained. So it's a new, relatively new group. We've brought in some new ideas, new faces, and there's been a lot of changes at the club. But I feel the one thing that has remained at this club is the ambition of the club, and I think that starts from the top. And although it's not been great for a couple of years, and we do realise and understand where we finished and how far we've got to go to get to the top, but we also are ambitious, and we're not putting any ceiling on what we can achieve in the short term coming up in this season.
Perfect. Tonch.
Okay, well, there's a very strong North Geelong flavour there with John Didlitzer, the football director, former president, and we've also got Luciano Trani as well, ex-coach, and Craig obviously being involved in North Geelong, and Steve and myself co-hosting the Geelong Region Soccer Show, our sister program. But another former North Geelong product who's making a return to A-League football is none other than Matt Spiranovic. Popper, that is a coup. How did you manage that? Tell us how that came about.
He was on the beach. He was on the beach, wasn't he, for 2 years?
Yes, he was.
Last we heard.
He was. Look, I go a long way back with Matty. I've coached him at the Wanderers, and we've had success together at the Wanderers. We had success together at Perth. He stopped playing for a couple of years. It wasn't so much of what I did to convince Matt. It was more that Matt wanted to play again. And, we met up and we had a good discussion about how this looks moving forward. And for me, the key was to see Matt's desire. His body's feeling good. Yes, he's had a couple of years off, so we understand that it'll take a bit of time and there'll be a few hiccups along the way in terms of his body. But he's healthy, he's strong. He's certainly, what I've seen at training, he's very talented. And the biggest thing for me now is that he's so determined to play. He has a huge ambition to win more trophies. And that's the type of person, that's the type of character we want at this football club. He certainly has a quality. And, when you have the winning attitude and mentality that Matty's shown throughout his whole career, if we can help him get his body right, that he can play week in, week out, I think it'll be a plus for not just Melbourne Victory fans, but for anyone that loves football to see Matt Spiranovic back on the field.
Yeah, and of course his experience will be a massive for the young players in the squad as well, Tony.
Yeah, of course. He's played at the highest level, and he's not a big talker, Matty, but he certainly leads by example. And you can see him when he's out in the park. He has a certain presence on the field, and I'm sure that our young players are learning and getting to know Matty, and I'm sure he's helping them understand what it takes to reach the top and what it takes to stay there.
Yeah, and just before Steve asks his question, I just want to touch on another colleague of yours who's hasn't made a return back to Victory with you is Zeljko Kalac. Zeljko's been on the show a number of times. I know he's over in Croatia. Was there at
probably
any point
on the beach as well?
He's probably on the beach or in the bar, one of them. He's probably in the second.
He's in both.
He's in both, yeah. Was there any thoughts about Zeljko coming back to Australia?
Look, the situations are different. We obviously are very close, not just on the field, but obviously we've worked together. But off the field, with our families are very close. For Zeljko now, it's to be in Croatia. At the moment, he's enjoying being there. He's getting involved with different aspects of the game in Croatia, and his son's over there at the moment. So he's clearly enjoying his time there, and opportunities are certainly being created for him there. And right now, he's happy.
Perfect.
Craig, he's not in lockdown. Why would he come back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
For the reasons he's already said, he's in the bar and on the beach. That's enough.
Good on Spider. Steve, over to you.
Yeah, well, speaking of lockdowns, actually, we've spoken to Paddy Kisnorbo and Johnny Aloisi over the last couple of weeks, and they have described the difficulties of pre-season in the current situation that we find ourselves in, and the inability to play NPL or state league teams in friendlies as would normally be happening at this time. How are you dealing with the pre-season? We saw you preparing on Gosh's paddock in that video a little bit earlier. How do you handle that at the moment?
Look, we can't say it's not difficult. It is for everyone, and not just for us in terms of preparing for a season. I think it's difficult for everyone in Australia at the moment. And I feel it's just we just are in a situation where we have to be adaptable. We have to be fluid. We have to be able to understand the situation, that it can change at any moment. And I feel that we're actually fortunate as a football club, because we can train every day, we can go to work every day, do what we love. I feel for so many people out there that can't work, that have been in lockdown, for half a year, basically out of the year. Kids can't go to school. People have got a lot more problems than what I have, and I feel quite lucky and blessed. And we're looking at it in terms of let's control what we can. Let's enjoy the fact that we're doing what we love. Yes, we can't play friendly games, and obviously that's not the best preparation, but it's still a lot better than what a lot of people are going through at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and the news this afternoon that Football Victoria have cancelled all football for the 2021 season. So all start planning for 2022. So I suppose the A-League is all we've got to look forward to now, Tony, for the end of the year. So
yes, correct. Yeah. So look, that's disappointing, obviously, for those people that in the NPL squads, teams. There's so many people that work so hard to make that possible, and yes, it hurts us that we can't play those friendlies, but I'm sure it hurts a lot more other people and young kids that don't have a chance to get out and play the game they love on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to jump over to a question now from one of the fans. We've asked some fans to email us in with some questions. I've got a question here from one of the Victory fans, George Kalea. I suppose it really answers. You've already answered that, but with the NPL season all but confirmed to be cancelled, what are the process a difficult quest to scout players, or do you have players already on the radar for that?
Good question, because it is difficult. I was getting out to watch a numerous amount of games when I first arrived and the NPL was playing. We did look, and we're constantly looking for players. At the moment, that makes it difficult to recruit from the NPL. We're fortunate that we averaged 10 players from our own NPL that are training with us every day. So we're tapping into those resources. We're giving our young players an opportunity to train with us every day, and for them to get a taste of professional football and what it looks like, for them to see where they need to be and what it will take for them to have a career in football. So, yes, that door shuts for us, but we've been fortunate that we have an academy and we have an NPL team that we can tap into the talent that we have there.
And are there any of those players within that academy that you potentially look at a scholarship program for them?
Possibly. They're all training with us at the moment. So I think they're doing a very, very good job. It's obviously not easy for them. It's a big jump in terms of training. Also the expectation on them each day. But from what I've seen, there are some talented players. I feel the club's got, I saw some younger players under 16s and 17s play. We gave a couple of 16-year-olds an opportunity, a game that we played against Box Hill, which was the only friendly game we could play thus far. And so we can see that in the younger age groups, there's a lot of talent coming through for the future of Melbourne Victory. So I think, the club's in the right direction in the academy space as well.
Perfect.
All right, Tony, let's turn our attention at the moment to the EPL and specifically your old club, Crystal Palace. A new season and indeed a new coach at the club after the recent retirement of Roy Hodgson. Arsenal legend Patrick Vieira has come into the fold. How do you think he will do in the Premiership, being a great footballer and manager? Is it a difficult process, as you know yourself?
Yeah, obviously he's had some experience in coaching now, most recently in France. I'm sure he's got his ideas. He was at Man City as a coach as well after he finished playing. He'll bring new different ideas to something that Crystal Palace fans were accustomed to with Roy Hodgson, who brought a lot of stability to the football club, which has helped them stabilise regularly in the Premier League, but also financially to stabilise the club. And you can see their training ground improving, the academies improving, their plans for the stadium. So he did a wonderful job, and now it's a difficult job at the best of times, coaching, and the expectations are obviously high at Crystal Palace. And I, for one, obviously as a former player and former coach there, hope he does a really good job and starts putting his own mark on the team and gets the style of play that he wants and the players that can suit the style of play required.
Tony, 120 league appearances for the club, 6 goals. Firstly, for those that don't have the pleasure of playing, what was it like to play in the EPL against some of the best players in the world at your time?
Yeah, wonderful experience. I think you know, as a young player, I was, you know, growing up in Australia, I always dreamed of playing, you know, in the Premier League, playing for my country, and I was very lucky to fulfill those dreams. We got promoted with Crystal Palace, and we had a season in the Premier League that was just amazing. It was a special time. Unfortunately, at the end, we got knocked out on the last day where we needed to win, and we had a draw. So, but you know, memories that last forever, and you know, I'm very happy that the club now has stopped going up and down, and they've created some real stability. And you know, it's a real proud football club in the southeast of London, and it's certainly respected all throughout the whole Premier League.
Yeah, and there's a fantastic program on documentary on the When Eagles Day. I'm sure you've watched it. It's a fantastic insight to the football club of how they almost went bankrupt, and Steve Parish and three guys came in and bought the club and transformed it to what it is now. So, what was the best player? Who was the best player you ever played against?
Thierry Henry would be the best player. Yeah, in his prime, trying to stop the guy. Yeah, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. So yeah, it's a special player to come up against. That's for sure.
Yeah. Tonch. No, you're on mute, Tonch.
There you go. I'm back on. Tony, I was going to say, like in your playing career, I'm sure you would not have been overawed by coming up against stars, because at the tender age of 16, you made your senior debut for Sydney United in the old NSL. Now, we've spoken at length about this, about the old NSL and how it gave a lot of the players, the players that went on to play for the Socceroos an opportunity to play at such a young level. I guess speaking from your experience, both as a coach and as a player, how important is it for young players to be given that opportunity to have regular sort of game time playing in an elite competition at such a young age? And is that something that you'd like to see utilised a lot more in the A-League?
Yeah, of course, it's important, but we also can't forget the fact that players need to be good enough as well to play. You know, we love giving young players an opportunity, but they need to earn those opportunities. And you know, I think at the moment, you know, we need to raise the level of the players, of the young players that are coming through. And the way we can do that is maybe this discussion about a B League, that there's another professional, so to speak, type of league that can give these young players a taste of professional football, playing against men regularly, playing under pressure, having to, you know, to keep their spot, to play for points, you know, they need to experience that. And, you know, for young players just to get thrown in, I feel that the gap is getting bigger from the young players when they jump up to the A-League, and that buffer in between of having a B League, so to speak, a second league, can really bridge the gap and can help us bring more elite players through the system, especially young players, and also gives them aspiration and know that you know, that their dreams can come true. Because at the moment, with a limited amount of teams, it's hard for players to get an opportunity. We're making inroads. Clubs are now having academies, so they're trying to bridge the gap that way. The next step is if we can have another professional league. I think that can bridge the gap even further and give these young players an experience that, yes, I was fortunate at 16 that, you know, I had a Ron Corrie as a coach who put 4 16-year-olds into the first team. Yet, you know, he lost his job for that, and all 4 of us went on to play for the Socceroos. So, you know, you need coaches that are willing to do that, yes, and you also need the talent, because, you know, if we weren't talented enough, we wouldn't have gone on to play for the Socceroos. So we need to balance both, and hopefully we can continue to make more opportunities for young players to become elite footballers.
Brilliant. Yep. Excellent.
And just bouncing back again to the EPL, Tony, it's been a pretty hectic transfer window. Some fairly big names coming into the league, especially at Old Trafford in particular. Do these transfers now sort of confirm the status as the best league in the world there in the EPL?
Yeah, it'd be hard to argue against that. We look at, they've always been competing with, La Liga and Serie A, and La Liga's, maybe with Barcelona going through a lot of financial difficulties at the moment. You'd have to say the EPL is not just the strongest league, but also financially backed league. It's very strong, and that's probably why it's attracting all the best players and the salaries that come with that.
Mm. Really interesting, actually. On I think I saw it on Optus Sports this morning that Chelsea's net figure after the signings through this window was 31 million. I think Arsenal's was
Wow.
minus 156 million. So I think they I think if I'm not mistaken, 31 players went out to Chelsea through the transfer window, which is incredible, isn't it? Most of them will go on loan clubs. But so given that, Tony, we ask all our guests, obviously with the EPL, your tip for the top 4 in order, and your bottom 3 for relegation. Putting you on the spot now.
Okay, Man City.
To win it?
Yep, to win it. Liverpool, Man United,
Chelsea
and
4th.
Chelsea.
Wow. There you go. And for the relegation.
I think Norwich will definitely go down. And the other 2, I think that's could be up for grabs. I think that one. I haven't really got anyone clear for that.
You're not sitting on the fence, are you?
Yeah, I am with that. Probably the only one that I'm pretty sure Norwich will be one of them. But as always, I think in the league, you always have one big club that surprises that's down there. I don't want to say. I feel like Newcastle will struggle again. I don't want to say Newcastle, but I feel that Newcastle, such a big club, shouldn't be in the bottom 3. But I feel that they'll be hovering and fighting off that relegation spot once more.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think it's. I think their time's done. I think it's. As you said, they shouldn't be in that position. But they are year in after year, and I think this could be the year that they fail. Tonch.
Now, we've really gone way over time. So, Tony, very much appreciate your taking some time out. I guess the final question, the big one that all Victory fans would really want to know is what type of style, what type of football will be played at Amy Park this coming season, and will you be up there amongst the competition leaders, in your opinion, or is this a rebuilding year? What can Victory supporters expect from the coming season?
Look, I think that the fans should be excited with the players that have come in. I think they should be very optimistic in what can be achieved. I said earlier, we're not putting a ceiling on what can be achieved. We know we start off a low base, but that's not to say that we can't challenge for the title in year one. I don't see why a club of Melbourne Victory should settle for a mid-table finish or a sixth place finish and be satisfied with that. I think we should always aim to be the best. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're not putting any stops on what is possible. So I'd say be optimistic as we are. I certainly am. That we can certainly excite the fans this year. I think they'll be very pleased to see the type of football, especially in the front third. We have so many dynamic players, a lot of young players that got a bit of experience last year that are improving further. And I believe it'll be an exciting team to watch in the coming season.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you very much for your time. Once again, very much appreciate you taking your time out and wishing you and everyone there at Melbourne Victory all the very, very best for season 21-22 in the A-League. So thank you once again.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Looking
Thank you.
Tony
for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Outlet Show, and thank you for staying and joining with us. A great interview, that, gents. It was very, very forthcoming. Good. What I took out of that was the fact giving the youngsters a go. That was and recounting his own experiences. Craig, what did you take out of that interview?
Yeah, look, much the same, Tons. I think he's come in with a clean slate. He's had to get rid of a number of players. He's brought players in that are his players. So yeah, look, I can expect him to get off to a bit of a slow start, I suppose. But I think given the signings that he's got there and the players that he got, that it could be a very good season for Victory this year.
Yeah, excellent. Now moving on to a discussion from last night, Steve. KIMON Talliadoros, Football Victoria CEO. Interview went for about an hour. I think we just talked about pretty much everything there was to talk about. What did you most take out of last night's interview?
Where can we start with that one?
Yeah,
that is. Oh, look, I think it's one of these. It's just one of these things where I think we went over it pretty well last night. Hit the nail on the head, really. That hindsight's a wonderful thing, and if we had our time again, there would have been some plans in place to make sure that should the season get cut short, that everyone knows what's going to happen. Everyone's on the same page, and there's clear cut guidelines and expectations can be set in advance if that happens. So, and obviously that'll be the case next season for Football Victoria. That'll be the case for all of the federations around all of the states and territories in Australia next season. I understand. So I think that's important to have that in place, and that'll be a good tool to have in the future. That's probably the biggest take home out of it.
What about yourself? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm with Steve. I think the fact that he acknowledged that there was mistakes made, I think that's what we wanted to hear. That's what every footballer wants. That we can't turn back what's happened. Whilst I did ask, is the season now definitely done? And it is. The process now has to be the learning from it. This is 2 years on the trot that it's happened. That's given them plenty of time to come up with situations. I'm sure when the season kicked off, in the back of their minds, they knew that we might not get through the season. Why wasn't something done earlier? But look, it's the fact that he's come on and he said there was mistakes made, and it gives us hope that next year we won't be in that position or ever to be in that position again. Something will be put in writing that allows clubs to get promoted and to get relegated. And speaking to a few people today, Tonch, and they all said they felt for all the clubs, and you could sense Mark was really, really down and frustrated yesterday, the president of George Cross Soccer Club. And you can understand that, 2 years on the trot now, they've been pushing to get MPL 3 and just fallen by COVID problems. So yeah, look, disappointing, but I was really glad that he came on the show and explained.
Just on
Absolutely
that as
brilliant.
well, if I could just keep talking about that a little bit further, actually, what do you guys think is reasonable expectations if something does go on paper about this for future? Do you think it would be that once we've played each team once, that record would be sufficient and that would be it, and any subsequent games would be maybe scrapped, and it would just be those, if it was a 12-team comp, just those 11 fixtures, and that would be it? Everyone agrees. There might be maybe a slight discrepancy on 11 games, someone's played one more away and one more at home, but still, like, all things considered, it's still fair enough.
Craig,
Do you want to go? Yeah, look, yeah, Steve. I think, and I brought that up last night, didn't I? That one of the biggest, I think the biggest mistake that they had was when they came to rounds 10 and 11 after the first lockdown. They didn't play those games straight away. That would have given every club the opportunity to play everybody once. Still would have been issues. There still would have been clubs that would have been upset by the decision, but it would have been an easier decision for Football Federation given the fact that everybody had played one games. And I think what needs to be done now is a scenario where, if the season gets played in full, it continues as normal. If there's 70% of the season gone, this scenario happens, and of course, then there's the other scenarios. If the season cuts short and everybody's played each other once, the decision will be made based on the results at that particular time of everybody playing one another. I think that's only fair and reasonable. There will always be clubs that will moan about that. But at the same time, the clubs that are at the bottom of the league are at the bottom of the league for a reason. So they can moan as much as they want, but the reality is they're down on the bottom, and the clubs at the top deserve promotion and deserve to be rewarded, as Mark kept saying last night.
Now, there is a thing called the rules of regulation, and each of the leagues are governed by that. Unfortunately, a lot of club personnel don't end up reading that. But yeah, in those rules of regulation, they should have going forward exactly what you just said, Craig: 100%, 75%, or 50%. And look, when people know at the start of the season this is what you're up against, that's it. That's the rules. It's black and white. You know what happens. Obviously things need to be discussed. For example, if we've played 7 rounds and all of a sudden at round 7 the season is cut short for whatever reason. Now, if next year we've still got COVID, football is going to be the last problem. If COVID has now been going for 3 years. But let's say it's a storm or whatever the case may be. And if we then continue round 8 from the moment we resume, as opposed to doing what we've been doing now, if it was a 4-week lockdown, we go to round 11, and then it causes all sorts of problems. That has to be factored into the rules of regulation so that people are aware, and they can't turn around and say, oh, but we were meant to have a home game next week, not this week. Oh, that's putting us into all sorts of troubles, this and that, whatever. The rules of regulation stipulate the following, and that's what the rules of regulation are. So absolutely, I think I took away from that the fact that they did acknowledge, or he said that Football Victoria had acknowledged those issues, and the fixturing could have done a lot better. But yeah, I think, guys, if we had those rules in place, there'd still be problems, but we wouldn't have as many problems as we had, at the moment.
Yeah, look, I think the part of the problem as well is that the MPL clubs do dictate what happens to a point. But having said that, you could see on Twitter and the outboard of emotions from Stefan Valentini's post on there about not winning the league after 7 points clear and all the stuff that came after that. But the MPL would have had a big say, and I know categorically that the teams at the top wanted to continue and the teams at the bottom didn't want to continue for obvious reasons. And is that fair and reasonable? Again, that maybe Football Federation is being dictated to by the top teams. I suppose you could counteract that the other way and say that it happens in every league across the world. If you look at the EPL, if you look at La Liga, if you look at Serie A, Bundesliga, we were talking just a couple of months ago about a breakaway league. So it's just, I think, how now they put something in place that's in writing, whether they have Zoom calls with every club in each league. So over a 6-week period, they have Zoom meetings. They understand what clubs, what their proposal is. They let clubs know. And then if there's any issues with that, then it can be resolved. Otherwise, it's come out with a document, and that's what it is, guys. Don't come back to me in June when we have to cancel. That's what it is. You've all agreed to it. Nobody's and that's where it is. But it's always going to be difficult. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And we've, it's a difficult situation for them.
Yeah, look, from what I gather, the competitions department and everyone associated with the competitions department, every time they come out with these return to play, they have to work out a whole heap of different scenarios, and they have to go through all of that. It is very painstaking. It takes a lot of man hours as far as labour is concerned, and I guess that's where the costs are involved as well. So that's another issue, that the refunds, and that was another thing that he did say they'd learnt from the processes last year, which was a bit of a farce. That this time round they're going to have the whole refund aspect down to a T. But that's what we think, folks. Let's hear what you guys think. The talkback lines are open now. 0497 151 234. That's 0497 151 234. We'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. We'd love to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. Maxi Santich in his comment does say, I need to applaud KIMON for coming on at a frustrating time for everyone. He explained reasons why it cannot continue and why it cannot be completed now. He acknowledged that fixturing could have been done differently. And thank you, Maxi, for your little profile pic there. You've told us that you've had your morning number 2. We appreciate that. But all jokes aside,
a point here, Tonch, if you can just pull up Chris's comment there up onto screen. I think the last one up there.
Here we go.
I still cannot understand why remaining matches couldn't be played if it took it to Christmas, at least the MPL divisions.
I agree.
Look, I'm in yes, but then you're causing problems for everybody else. The reality is, the MPL was, from my understanding, had until the end of November to play the leagues.
Yeah.
And State League was the end of September, I think, due to cricket and all the other things that were about to happen. So I just think by doing it for one and not the other, then would have had an issue. So then what happens to, promotion and relegation from State League? So it's a real tough one, Chris, and I'm not sure they could do one with the other. What's your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, and the other issue is there's just no certainty about it, that you don't know when we're going to get back on. Even if we can get back on, it could still be many weeks away. The players haven't been able to train together for so long. It's all hypothetical stuff for me at this stage. And
of course.
And if they could do it, if we knew when things were going to resume and it was all straightforward and it was cut and dry, everything was black and white, it would be fine. You could look at something, but we don't. We don't have that at the moment. We don't know when we can start training again, so we don't know when we can start playing again, and that time to complete that before end of the year, no, it's not something that they entertain, and I'm sure if they could, they would.
Yeah, look, I think I agree with you guys. But having said that, Chris brings up an interesting point. He talks about the NPL, and Craig, you raise another important point. Can you do one for the and not for the other? Look, the NPL is a semi-professional league, and by all means, by strict standards, anything below State 1 is actually amateur. But we know players are getting paid in State 1 and State 2, even down to State 5. But the reality is, can you look at the two in different ways? Maxi Santich makes a good point. He says ground availability, conflict with other sports, lack of volunteers and officials going into Christmas. That doesn't apply to NPL. I don't think that would apply to any NPL, because ground availability, all the clubs have got their own ground.
They do, and they've got to have them for 42 weeks of the year. That's part of the conditions for being an MPL club. You have to ground for 42 weeks of the year or 40 weeks of the year. But one of the big issues for MPL clubs, as you said, a lot of those clubs or players are semi-professional. A lot of them would be on contracts, which means that the club has to pay them. So, from a club's point of view, if we hold on until November, they're probably playing them now and they're not playing any football. So is that fair and reasonable to the clubs? Then to go on until the end of November, where you're still having to pay them. So look, there's a lot of I'm sort of torn been all of them, mate, if I'm honest. I get it. The reality is we're not going to finish the season. It has been cancelled. As much as we don't like it, there'll be clubs that think, fantastic, I get another year next year for the second year on the trot. I finish bottom of the league. I haven't invested. I haven't looked to go forward. I finish second. I get another crack, stab at it next week. That's not fair and reasonable, but we have to live with it, I think.
There was a lot of comments in during yesterday's interview. As KIMON himself said, there's some constructive and then there's some aggressive, bordering on abusive. We want to know what you're thinking. The good, the bad, the ugly. It's 0497 151 234. John from Brimbank, if you're out there, give us a buzz. We want to know exactly
he's just called me, Stanch. If you want to take me off screen for a couple of minutes, I'll try and get him on for.
Okay, then it's just Steve, me, myself, and yourself. Now, Steve, for those fans of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, hopefully we will be back next week with specially themed programs, at least for the next 2 or 3 weeks, probably until the end of September. But, hopefully we can get a couple of really, really good guests. And even though there's no football at the moment happening, we're going to try and look at it at a different kind of a way and at least provide some of that local football content. But how are you finding with your gig on 93.9 Bay FM? Is it hard to come up with local content? Is it hard with at the moment not much going on?
Yeah, of course, we've had to pivot over the last few weeks, and a couple of times when we've had lockdowns, and we've been lucky enough to have a lot of content. We've been able to talk about some of our players from Victoria doing the thing in Tokyo recently in the Olympic Games, and then more recently, what have we had? Some Victorians playing in the Socceroos, I suppose, this week. But not a lot of local stuff going on, unfortunately. And of course, often the news all dropped straight after you've done the pre-record, so that's always good too. Like happened with the lockdown announcement, or the cancellation of the season announcement, should I say, this week. But it's interesting. Like, we're in an interesting space in Geelong at the moment. Some local country leagues have decided to cancel their season, like they've done at Bendigo already. Obviously, they encompass Shepparton, so there's reasons for that. While at Geelong, we're still waiting to find out. There's still an outside chance that the season could continue for the local leagues in Geelong at this point, still technically. But how likely that is probably not very likely, but we'll probably know more pretty soon. Well,
Craig, we've got someone on the line. Is it John from Brimbank?
Who knows, Tonch? Hey, technology. We're going to try. He's tried a few times over the last couple of shows.
I can hear a laugh, so that's a good sign. John
you
from
can hear
Brimbank, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
hello.
Righto. Long time waiting. How are you, John? How's things?
Yeah.
He's been on the line since last evening.
Yeah. Better than last night, I guess.
Now, we have to apologise, John, for last night. You know, maybe you were one of those abusive commentators or whatever that we couldn't have Kim on. No, only joking. Mate, microphone is yours. What would you like to talk about?
It's easy to understand the situation we're in with as a club and as football. You know, COVID and government decisions have stopped us from enjoying what we love, and Football Victoria have to make a decision based on that. What we should struggle with as a club and as a football supporter is how can the decision be based on rewarding those that haven't had results on the field already? We understand that not everyone has played each other once, but that's not the case in the NPL. The NPL top tier, they have all played each other once, so you know, relegation from that league should still apply, in our opinion. Promotion is a pillar and a strength, as we know throughout the world, and relegation of how to develop football. You get relegated, go back, build your foundations, and you move forward again, and you become better. Or you just keep going backwards and someone else comes over. But with promotion, it rewards those clubs that have put in the investment, that have put in the time, that have put in the money, and have tried their hardest to make football better, whether on the field and off the field. The decision by Football Victoria is totally against that principle and that pillar of what football is based on. And as a club, we found that very, very difficult to, and as Mark from Caroline Springs also did, very difficult to acknowledge. I'm sure the top NPL clubs would have been happy, but I don't know, everyone below that, it doesn't seem the case. And after yesterday's show, I got a few calls from other clubs and supporting pretty much what I was saying. And they said, well, tell the guys, put in the hard questions and make it a little bit harder for KIMON and tell them to give us an honest opinion on what really happened. Like I said, if you're a business and you invest a lot of money, you expect a return for what you do. And Football Victoria haven't provided that by making that decision. They haven't provided what they had promised right up until August the 8th with a memo that they'd sent out telling us that promotion was still going ahead. At that time, we knew that season was never going to be completed, and more than likely, we weren't going to play at all. And then 3-4 weeks later, and after meeting with MPL clubs, that's what turned on its head. So
do you think that decision?
At this level,
Do you think that decision had changed and influenced by the top tier MPL clubs, John?
It's hard for me to tell definitively because I wasn't at that meeting and I don't know what they say and what they don't say. But if you're looking from the outside in, it would seem that way. It's hard to argue it any other way. I'm presuming you guys would half agree with that.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I had heard that the MPL clubs were very much split in terms of those at the top wanting to carry on and those at the bottom not wanting to carry on for obvious reasons. So I would be amazed. I would be amazed. I'd find it very strange if Football Victoria took the decision based on what those clubs felt, because it has to be a fair and even playing field for everybody, not just the MPL clubs. As you said, there's teams in State League 5 that have worked bloody hard to be in a position to get promoted. There's teams in State League 4, which is one of the hardest leagues in Victoria to get out of, because you've got four leagues going into two. Two.
Yeah,
so
correct, yeah.
There's a lot of teams that would have put the hard work in behind the scenes to put in a position, like yourselves at Brimbank, like George Cross, as we said last night, your Strathmores, and even your Barwins in State League 5. There's a lot of clubs have put the hard work in for absolutely no reward, and I think that's the tough bit for everybody. But as I said, and I'll say it again, I just don't understand why they didn't come back and play those rounds 10 and 11 straight after the shutdown. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd probably be talking about, how things are going to look for Brimbank in MPL 3 next year, which is what we should have been talking about.
Well, I can't argue that point. Like 10 and 11 should have been played, and that was one of the things I had said previously. But as like with COVID, that's something you can't change now.
Yeah.
So do you still make a decision, like I said earlier, do you make a decision that's based on rewarding those that have been at the bottom of the ladder? Do you make a decision that's based on those that have they've had their success on the field and they've put that investment into football and they've tried to make football better from all aspects, and that the clubs that are at the top of the ladders are not there by luck. They work hard to get there. They invest money, they invest resources, they invest a lot of time. And they have quality people that run those clubs. It's the reason why they're there compared to other teams in those leagues. That's a common fact. It's just making a decision.
Sorry, John. Sorry, Coach. You make a very good point. And if by keeping the status quo, you're absolutely rewarding the underperforming clubs. You're absolutely rewarding the clubs that were, looking to get relegated. Well, they've been given a lifeline. At the other end, though, how do you now, as Craig said, implement a promotion and reward those clubs that have been doing well? Maxi Santich does make a good point. In some leagues, there were teams in third place that had games in hand. In some leagues, there were teams in fourth place that had not played teams at the foot of the table. So you definitely haven't got that even playing field there. Now, if you sort of, season finishes now as it stands, and there's no way of them completing the season, what do you do? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. At the moment, with regards to the relegation, it's obviously it's cut and dry. The poor performing teams have been rewarded. No doubt about that. What would you do? I mean, putting you on the spot, John, if you a magical one just happened to appear and you became FFV CEO, is there anything that can be done now for this year, or would you just turn your attention to getting it right next year? What would you do? And there's no right or wrong answer here.
You've asked me about whether the promotion and relegation, obviously relegation is a little bit harder. For promotion, I can't see why it can't happen. As I said, the communication in August 8th was telling us that NPL2 was going up to 14 teams. So everywhere below that, promotion is still possible, which would then put NPL2's leaders, Pascoe Vale and Brunswick in a bad position because relegation not happening, say, from NPL. But I can't understand why NPL can't play 16 teams. There was rumours or talk that they didn't want that because an extra 4 rounds would have cost them $40,000 to $80,000. But the reality is, if you can't afford that $40,000 to $80,000, should you be playing NPL? No one's telling you that $40,000 to $80,000 can't be rectified with your budget by adjusting your payment to your players across the year. So like I said, you can have promotion without the relegation. At least then you're still rewarding those that have earned that right. As you said, some teams haven't played equal amount. Other leagues throughout the world have just pretty much done points per game ratio and stuck with it. The teams that are third and fourth will always want to play that, have the opportunity to think, but you can only base it on the facts. You're not going to be able to play those games because COVID won't allow us to. So it can happen. The decision, unfortunately, was based on what the NPL teams have said, and there was no liaising with any of the state league teams, which is the majority of the fee payers for Football Victoria, which is disheartening.
Steve, any points?
Yeah, ask me. I've given you an answer.
Thanks, John.
Very good one. Good on you.
Thanks, John. Very, very well considered. And it's a good point you make, because we did hear that not that long ago that NPL2 was planning to be stretched out to an extra couple of teams, and then the leagues below would have to be altered subsequently to allow that. And when is the time frame for that? Was that meant to be happening next season?
Yeah.
That was a memo on August 9th from Football Victoria telling us that NPL2 was going up to 14 teams and the state league teams were being promoted.
I think there was going to be 6 teams going.
At that time we're in lockdown, in our current lockdown.
Yeah, was there going to be 6 teams going up to NPL3, John, I think, wasn't it?
I think they were doing 4 teams from the state leagues to NPL3, and then the 2 teams, obviously, from NPL2 to NPL3. But they had a tendency to change all that after there were certain discussions with certain people. Like I said, at that point, everyone knew, or most people were anticipating, that the seasons weren't going to be played at all. Our government, the way they are, we weren't going to go out. He wasn't going to let us back, give us our freedom that easily. So, just very disappointing decision, but anyhow.
On the screen, we've got the top 6 there of State League 1 Southeast Division. And as we can see, Mornington and Boroondara Eagles are light years ahead of everyone else.
You'd be pretty pissed off if you were Boroondara and Mornington there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so what would be the problem? I mean, look at that. 12 games after 12 games. All right, Mornington have played a game extra, but those 2 teams are way ahead of everyone. So for those 2 teams to get an invitation to join NPL3 and keep on, the promotion keeps on going all the way up to top up the teams that need to be. Can anyone see a problem in that? And then at the same time, let's look at the Northwest Division. Caroline Springs and Brimbank Stallions. Okay, it's a lot closer. Sydenham Park are just trailing by 2 points away from there, but they still are clearly in 3rd spot. Now, if you're going to do that, Caroline Springs and Brimbank Stallions go up as well. There's your promotion. I don't know. Give these clubs an invite to join the NPL. Keep the promotion from NPL3 to NPL2, NPL2 to NPL1 to top up those divisions. We do need more games. Let's increase it from 12 to 14 teams with no relegation in the NPL competitions, but just increase them all. Can you guys see any issues there? I don't know.
Look, from my side, Tonch, no, I think promotion should have been done. I think it's poor. Given the fact that the document did come out, as John said, on August the 8th or 9th, whenever it was, that we actually showed on this show, I believe, and put it up. Then to obviously go back on that and make the decision that there will not be any promotional relegation. I think it just leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths because they were the planning and a lot of planning and preparation had done it. And as I've spoken about before, guys, it's not just the coaches, it's not the president and the secretaries and the treasurers, it's the parents and the people around the club that do it for the love. Who were so excited. I'm sure, Brimbank just 4 years ago were playing in State League 4, I think, or certainly 4 or 5 years ago were playing in State League 4, because I remember playing against them up at the Italia club there. And, so they've come on this big journey of planning for this particular stage. They've got their MPL junior license. They've upgraded the ground to have the synthetic facility there. So they've been working behind the scenes for the last 4 to 5 years to be in this position, to have it taken away from them by a poor decision.
Anyone else? We'd love to hear from you. Zero.
Decision effects are the ones that are making the decision.
Yeah, absolutely, John.
Yeah.
All right, John.
John,
thanks for phoning in. Appreciate your time. Sorry we couldn't get you on last night. Some technical hiccups. I know exactly what I did, so it's my fault. But thanks for ringing in, mate, and keep in touch.
Good on you, John from Brimbank. And
Thank you.
No problem
thanks,
at all.
John. Much appreciated. Moving along, guys. Let's try and take one more caller. We'd love to hear at least one more caller. It is getting close to 8:30, and we've almost gone a full 90 minutes. If we can take one more caller, the number there is 0497 151 234. A lot of people putting comments down, but we do need to hear from you. We want you to ring up, so we'll take one more call. Otherwise, gents, I think we'll wrap this up. Anyone on the talkback line, Craig?
No, nobody here. Another good point
last
there from
chance,
Maxi
folks.
Another good
last
point there
chance.
from Maxi Santage. Tonch, 2 nights in a row we're hearing from representatives from clubs that are in a stronger financial position than other clubs. They're frustrated that the season cannot be completed rather than the season being resolved fairly.
Yeah, it looks like those clubs that have got a bit more stronger financial clout are able to pay for their mobile phone bills, because the rest of them can't. It seems they're not reading us up. Well, here we go. Is that a phone? We may have someone.
We'll have to take Craig off camera for a moment, perhaps, to see if we can get someone on the line.
Yep. Hopefully this is a call. 0497 151 234. By the way, Craig is handling all the phone calls. And we will announce very, very shortly, we will announce who our big guest is for next Sunday. And we'll let Craig do that because he has arranged all the guests. So we'll get Craig to announce that. Are we ready to go on, Craig? This is a talkback caller. We might have to pull him off.
Could be a tally marketer.
Could be.
Could be a debt collector. Could be anyone calling up Craig. Who knows?
Paul Iacovakis says, I reckon more focus should be placed on the kids and juniors. I think you're missing a big aspect of this season cancelled. And that's a good point, Paul, because at the end of the day, look, it's for the kids, and I'm talking from personal experience as a father of a youngster playing in the under-12s. These last 2 years have really, really had a detrimental effect on the development of our young footballers. And I think this is one thing that KIMON did say last night, KIMON Taliadoros, is that we need to look at ways of, continuing the football experience. And it may not mean, the season being run in the way it has been, with junior NPL juniors or community juniors or whatever the case may be, state league juniors. They're looking at running maybe things like tournaments, gala days, 7-a-side competitions, etc. All of those kind of things. So football has to continue in some way, shape, form, or another. But good point there, Paul. Craig, you're back. Have you got someone on the line?
We do, and it's funny that you spoke about the kids and juniors aspect of football, and we do have Paul on the sorry, Peter. We have Peter on the line. Sorry, not Paul.
No, not Paul.
Peter on the line, who actually wants to talk about that exact subject. So, Peter, welcome to the show.
Peter, where are you from? Which suburb?
Oh, we can't hear Peter.
Oh no! Oh,
Is there?
we're traveling so well.
Can we fiddle
Peter,
with the settings there?
Good, yourself?
Yes.
Oh, good on you. Peter,
hello.
welcome to the show. Which suburb are you from, Peter?
I'll say I'm from the northern suburbs.
The northern suburbs.
Peter from the northern suburbs.
Peter from the northern suburbs.
Welcome. What's your point? What's your point tonight, Peter?
Look, I just wanted to bring up, I made a comment last night regarding junior football. Look, the kids have gone through hell and back the last 2 years. I'm sure we'll all agree on that. I just thought my message last night when I put it out there was not that you guys are not promoting senior football. I just wanted to bring up, what can we do better? What could have Football Vic done better to reward, anywhere from under 12s, because it's a point system, to 21s? I mean, again, I listened to the show from the start and even yesterday. Can't we just reward the finishing on top? I'm not saying give them a trophy or a medallion, but get Football Vic to come out and say, congratulations, under 12s, north, west, south, east winners, under 13s, just something for the kids. I mean, can we give back somehow? I don't know how, but, I listened to, you guys mentioned before, we've got Sunshine George Cross on top, and then I think third place was Sydenham Park. Well, yeah, you're right. They're in third spot. George Cross is on top. They deserve it. Give them something. That's senior football I'm talking about. But in the junior side of it, I mean, can we reward our kids somehow? I am an under 12 coach. The kids work tirelessly, 3 times a week, Saturday trainings, and no reward.
Yeah, look, I hear you. I'll jump in there a little bit, guys, if you don't mind. I'm a coach myself, John. I coach at under 19s level in the MPL. And, we were playing football since November last year through trials and everything else that goes ahead, planning for the season, thinking we're going to, it's all about development for these boys. And, if we win a few games along the way and they're learning and they're becoming, better players for it. And, I had a lot of, as the listeners would know, I had a lot of, 15-year-old boys in my under 19 squad last year. Who were stepping up to play, almost men's football now. And we were top of the league, John. So, sorry, Peter, we were top of the league. And it is hard because you want to reward those kids for working tirelessly. I'm not an easy coach to work with because I demand, a lot from players. They took all that on board. They worked tirelessly through the three sessions we'd have a week. Worked hard through games when things perhaps weren't going for us in games. We had to make decisions, but they ground out results week after week after week, only for nothing to come of it. And I do feel for the kids. I've got a son myself who's missed out on 2 years of football. Imagine the 12-year-old boys. I can understand because yes, they've lost 2 years of football, but they can sort of get that back because they're going to be in the system for a few. But what about those 15, 16-year-olds who have lost that big chunk of their development phase as they start moving into more adult type of football? It's a big loss that they're never ever going to get back, mate. So
agreed.
Look, I'm with you. I do think development football is paramount at junior level rather than winning. But I think with this situation, it's not a unique situation. So, to give something back to young players who have worked hard over a period of time under exceptional circumstances wouldn't be a bad idea from my side.
Can I ask you one more question?
Of course.
Can I ask what your thoughts are on under 12s or even under 13s playing half pitch? I mean, I'm not a fan of it. They really need to be on full pitch. That's my personal opinion, or at least box to box and a 10v10.
Yeah, you've opened a can of worms for me now, because I'm this is a bit of my passion here, Pete. So I've obviously, from my accent, you can tell I'm not from Australia. I can tell you categorically that, you know, back in Wales, back in 2016, so it would be almost 24 years ago now, Wales went back to real grassroots stuff of kids playing 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, and working up the pitch to eventually play in 11-11. But that didn't come until they were 15 years old. So you weren't playing, full pitch until you're 15, because, you know, what will tend to happen, and it happens around the world at every football club. You get the coach who's only worried about winning, and he'll get the big lad at the back to pass it to the big lad at the front who's quick, and they'll demolish teams. That's what happens around the country every year. The reason that the small-sided games are involved is because there's less room. So the guys then can't play those longer balls. The more physical demanding players haven't got the room. It then becomes more technical. So to answer your question about playing on a big pitch, and this is only my opinion, I think playing on a big pitch, half pitch width-wise, up until probably 13, and then go box to box from probably 14 would be my recommendation. But look, I'm just a coach, so I'm not involved. But it still should be about the technical aspect of the game rather than a winning mentality at those younger ages. Just my opinion.
No, agree.
Peter, what makes you think that? And it's a good point. And look, football is a game of opinions. And I'm looking at this as a former coach of under 7s all the way through to under 11s, and now my boy's playing under 12s, probably, even though he could still be playing under 11s. So it's very interesting, because a lot of the kids in his team are sort of tasting under 12 football for the first time. Now, when you sort of say they should be, they should be playing box to box or maybe even full pitch, is that sort of looking at your team, the team that you're involved in? If it was to go to full pitch at this level, would they be ready for it? Like, looking at all elements of the game, would they be ready for it?
Yes.
In what sense?
Every sense.
So skill-wise, fitness-wise, all of that.
Fitness. Now, So fitness would probably be a key component. I'm not sure the kids will be fully fit for a full pitch, but in saying that, you've got the 2 extra players. So, if you play your 4-4-2 or whatever you're going to play, you've got those 2 extra players on the pitch. But skill-wise, the wider pitch, I encourage our kids, or my boys anyway, to play up through the back and to really, enjoy the moment and enjoy your football. Don't just boot the ball long if not required. Relax on the ball. Composure. I think the kids are ready. We played a couple of practice matches against other under 12s on a box to box, and it was beautiful. There was a lot of freedom. The kids expressed themselves. I really enjoyed it. This will be technically their 4th season playing on a half pitch. I think the kids are going to start going backwards. This is just Peter's opinion, not anyone else's. I've got a good friend of mine that coaches at George Cross. His name's Nick. He's got a great team as well out there, and I see the football style that he plays, and we're very similar. We're very good friends outside of football as well, Nick and I. But, Nick and I have had this discussion before where our kids are ready, but the progression between that half pitch, let's say box to box, even at 13s, and then full pitch, I think that's another little progression as well. And then add the extra player, so it's a 10v10. If that makes sense. So we're introducing an extra player. So when we get to full pitch, we're only introducing one extra player. So it's not as, from 9v9 all the way to 11v11. Look, it's only an opinion, I guess, and this is what I love about football and football people. But I think the kids will be ready. Look, I'm 47 years old, and I don't remember ever playing on a box-to-box or half pitch. I spoke to Dad from the pub. I spoke to Dad on Harley, and we were talking football, and I said, Dad, did we ever play, mate? And he goes, no.
Yeah. And I said, it's an interesting point, Peter, and we appreciate your call, and that's definitely, as Craig says, opens up a can of worms because it's something we could talk for forever and ever. Mate,
Look,
we're going to have to
just before you do go, Tonch, we have got a couple of guests on over the next couple of weeks from abroad that are heavily involved in kids development football. So maybe this is a topic that we can bring back up in probably 2 weeks' time.
Possibly,
when we speak to somebody who's heavily involved in player development.
Absolutely.
In Japan.
So hold that thought, Peter. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. We are going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately. Thank you to Peter, and thank you to John for our callers tonight. Speaking of guests, Craig, we'll let you announce who our guest is for next week. A big guest, obviously, next Sunday night. Hopefully no more Monday night extras, but Sunday night. Who's coming on next Sunday?
Yeah, look, we've got he's been on the show before, and obviously given the announcements over the last week or so about the National Second Division, we've got the chairman of the AAAFC, Nick Galatis, who's going to come on Sunday and give us an update on where the B League is, how things are progressing there. Whether we can touch on what clubs are going to be involved on that. I'm not sure whether it's at that stage yet, but we'll certainly find a little bit more about what's going on with the AAAFC and the B League.
Looking forward to that, Steve. Thank you for joining us again. It will be good. I can't wait. And there's going to be a lot of football action both midweek and next weekend. So that's going to be really exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us tonight. Really appreciate and really enjoy having you all part of tonight's show. Until next week, have a great week. And hopefully come Sunday night, we'll have some good news with everything that's going around. Good night.